Once upon a time, in the whimsical world of Toyland, there lived a pair of spuds who captured the hearts of children and adults alike. Their names were Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, and their journey began in the playful imagination of the creators at Hasbro. In the early 1950s, when television sets flickered to life with black and white images and families gathered around to watch their favorite programs, a new kind of star emerged, the advertising icon. Among them, Mr. Potato Head made his debut in 1952, courtesy of Hasbro, the renowned toy company. His arrival marked a revolutionary moment in the toy industry, as he became one of the first toys to be advertised on television. In those simpler times, toy commercials were a delightful spectacle, filled with catchy jingles and colorful characters. Mr. Potato Head's commercials were no exception, with his catchy tune and charming antics capturing the imagination of children across the nation. With his interchangeable features, a nose here, a pair of eyes there, Mr. Potato Head promised endless hours of creative fun, sparking the imaginations of young minds everywhere. As the 1960s dawned, Mr. Potato Head continued to reign supreme in the world of toys. With the advent of color television and the rise of consumer culture, Hasbro seized the opportunity to expand its lineup, introducing Mrs. Potato Head to the delight of children everywhere. Together, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head became the dynamic duo of the toy box, inspiring countless adventures and imaginative play. In the retro ads of the era, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head were depicted as the ultimate companions for creative play. Bright colors and catchy jingles filled the television screens, inviting children to join in the fun of mix-and-match adventures. The commercials showcased the endless possibilities of swapping out Mr. Potato Head's signature features, his eyes, nose, mouth, and accessories, and introducing Mrs. Potato Head into the mix only added to the excitement. Children eagerly anticipated the moment they could get their hands on their very own Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head sets. Whether it was a birthday gift or a special treat from their parents, owning these iconic toys was a badge of honor for youngsters of the 1960s. The ads promised hours of entertainment and encouraged kids to let their imaginations run wild as they created unique characters and scenarios with their potato pals. As the decade progressed, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head remained a staple in the toy chests of countless households. Their popularity continued to soar, fueled by the era's fascination with innovation and creativity. Hasbro capitalized on this trend by releasing new accessories and themed sets, allowing children to customize their potato heads to reflect the latest fashion trends or cultural phenomena. As the sun set on the 1960s and a new decade dawned, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head stood as enduring symbols of childhood wonder and imagination. Their legacy would continue to evolve in the years to come, leaving an indelible mark on generations of toy lovers around the world. The 1970s ushered in a new era of innovation for Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. With the rise of disco fever and funky fashion trends, Hasbro capitalized on the cultural zeitgeist by introducing themed accessories and outfits for the Spud couple. From bell-bottom pants to platform shoes, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head were always dressed to impress, reflecting the colorful spirit of the times. The ads not only showcased the Potato Head's fashion-forward sense of style, but also highlighted their versatility as toys. Children were encouraged to mix and match different outfits and accessories, allowing them to express their creativity and create endless fashion combinations. Whether it was a sequined jumpsuit for Mr. Potato Head or a flowy maxi dress for Mrs. Potato Head, the possibilities were as limitless as the disco beats that echoed through the air. As the 1980s dawned, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head faced stiff competition from a new wave of electronic toys and video games. However, Hasbro remained steadfast in its commitment to the beloved Spuds, reimagining them for a new generation of children. With updated designs and interactive features, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head embraced the digital age while staying true to their timeless charm. Despite the allure of electronic gadgets, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head maintained their status as timeless classics. The retro ads of the 1980s reminded children and parents alike of the joy and nostalgia associated with these beloved Spuds. With their familiar faces and endless possibilities for customization, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head continued to hold a special place in the hearts of families around the world. The 1990s brought with it a resurgence of interest in retro toys, fueled by nostalgia for the simpler times of decades past. Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head found themselves back in the spotlight, as collectors and enthusiasts sought to recapture the magic of their childhoods. Hasbro responded to this newfound demand by releasing limited edition versions of the Spud Couple, complete with vintage-inspired packaging and accessories. Hasbro, always attuned to the pulse of consumer trends, seized upon this renewed interest in Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. Retro ads from the 1990s showcased the Spuds in all their vintage glory, evoking memories of simpler times and carefree play. With a nod to the past, Hasbro released limited edition versions of Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, complete with vintage-inspired packaging and accessories that harkened back to the golden era of toys. Collectors and enthusiasts eagerly sought out these special editions, eager to add them to their burgeoning collections. For many, owning a piece of their childhood in the form of a classic Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head was a cherished dream come true. The retro ads of the 1990s played upon this sentimentality, transporting viewers back to a time when toys were simple, yet endlessly entertaining. As the new millennium dawned, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head continued to evolve with the times. With the advent of online shopping and social media, Hasbro embraced digital marketing strategies to reach a wider audience. From viral campaigns to interactive webisodes, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head remained relevant in an ever-changing world, proving that true classics never go out of style. In recent years, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head have experienced a resurgence in popularity, thanks in part to their appearances in popular films and television shows. From animated cameos to live-action adaptations, the Spud Couple has captured the hearts of new generations of fans, ensuring their place in pop culture history for years to come. In conclusion, the story of Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head is a testament to the enduring power of imagination and creativity. From their humble beginnings as simple toys to their status as beloved cultural icons, the Spud Couple has stood the test of time, inspiring generations of children to dream big and play imaginatively. As long as there are children with curious minds and playful spirits, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head will continue to hold a special place in the hearts of all who encounter them.